Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Three Wise Guys podcast. This is episode 4 without Davin. No, 3.
Don't look at me. Yeah,
3.
I don't know.
We miss you,
I don't
Davin.
know.
We miss you. He's coming back. Just to let everybody know. Like, don't worry. You're not gonna miss Davin too much. But yeah, we do miss you. So if you've noticed, like, the lighting looks a little bit different. The couch is not in the right place. The camera looks a little crooked. We're sorry. We did our best. So come and save us as soon as possible, please, Davin. How you boys doing?
I'm hungry right now. I'm hungry, but good. Good, tired.
That was
What's so funny about that?
It was great energy.
Great energy.
You know, like
all right, okay.
Good, tired. Yeah, you know what? Like I'll give you a Monday morning work response instead.
There
Please
we
ask
go.
me again.
Okay. How are you doing today, Luke?
Oh, you know, typical weekend, living the dream. Can't wait to hit the ground running.
It's just for everyone's just
Sound even
FYI,
more like a
it is
zombie.
Sunday today. The weekend is not over yet, and Luke is fantasizing about it being over and being able to be existential at work.
Everyone at work knows. Like, if you ask me like how I'm doing, I'm gonna tell you I'm living the dream. So like, no one asks me anymore.
I'm like, yeah, you sound like a zombie. Like, yeah.
No, you know what the thing is though? I do say it with enthusiasm. So I think that's the thing that makes people continue to ask me, because they're like, oh, they can't figure out if like I'm actually dead inside or if I'm like really bought in.
So how
And
do
that's
you?
the mystique.
No, I think everyone knows you're dead inside.
Everyone knows. But like my question for you, Luke, is how? Okay, teach us right now, old wise one. How do you communicate? You know, you're living the dream when in reality you're dead inside, but you're trying to make it not seem like you're dead inside. Like, what does that sound like? Give us a little crash course if you can.
The reality is I am an expert gaslighter with myself. So you know, like I'm capable of finding the dream in the nightmare. So I focus on that, you know, like I focus on the fact that, you know, like the dream is allowing me to live a great lifestyle, or, you know, I like some of my coworkers and stuff, but also I just acknowledge that I'm generally like a negative person. So I'm like, when I am like in a negative mood, I don't take that too serious. If that makes
That's
sense.
good. I think it took us a while to learn not to take it too seriously. Well, it took me a while to learn that, at least. Probably D a little bit faster. He's probably over it after day 1.
Yeah, like I just steer clear. I was like,
I used to get like sad. I'd be like, does he hate me?
oh yeah.
D and I have the same coping mechanism with each other. Like it's the same. It's just like sometimes
True.
I'll see D like, and I'll be like, okay, I will not be speaking to him for the next 4 hours.
That's, you know what? Probably wise. Yeah, it's like I make 1 inappropriate, 2, 3 inappropriate comments at Luke. I don't get the reaction I need. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go back to the drawing board, come back in like 4 hours and make an even more inappropriate comment.
Just in case the first one didn't have the right weight to it. You know?
Yeah, it's like I need the reaction.
Then and only then would D potentially be like, maybe that was an inappropriate joke.
Delapo, like he shoots bullets until he hits the target, and then he fires missiles. So that's his vibe. But
I'm saying when he runs out of bullets, target or not, he's going to the missiles.
fair enough.
The targets really have nothing to do with this.
Unfortunately, that's when collateral damage comes in. Like, you know,
That is such an accurate fucking analogy.
Okay, no, we're starting today. No more cussing on the pod.
That's
Guys.
like that's gonna be hard. But
That's
you know,
gonna be really hard.
it was interesting because at the game yesterday, I saw one of my ex coworkers. He was an intern. His name is Cameron. Shout out Cameron. Apparently, Mike sees this guy all the time because he's a security guard at Rogers Center, and like now he's doing BMO as well. So I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking about. Okay, so for context, we went to an Argos game. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm thinking like as a business owner, like man, like, oh, like I gotta grow some thicker skin, man. Like I'd feel so bad. I wouldn't be like I'd feel so bad if I saw like an intern that like didn't like get hired full time and like I saw him like 8 times a year over the course of like the next 3 years. You know what I mean? I would feel
You
bad.
had the power to refer him.
Right, like I had no like
But you
well,
didn't.
Mike straight up has the power to like hire him. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, like thinking about that whole thing. So I was like, fuck, like like is the business world like it goes back to what we were talking about in the car yesterday. You can't run a business like a family. Like it has to just it's business, So it's like, damn. But yeah, like I'll let you guys get to the Argos game. But the reason I saw Cameron yesterday was Alyssa and I were walking and this guy just passed out in front of us and he was he was fine. He was epileptic and stuff. But like the main thing I wanted to talk about was we had this theory. So my girlfriend's a nurse. There was another nurse there. And then this other woman comes in, and so basically our theory is that this lady was not a nurse.
That was my theory.
But she,
you guys were fully on like that. Oh, she's a nurse, but she was super weird. I was like, honestly, dude, she might have just been drunk.
Yeah. Okay, so she comes in and she's wearing a skirt and she just stands over this guy, like full just gets over him, and then she's like. We thought it was weird because she kept like calling him like
face directly under the skirt inside.
Like it was like she was standing over his torso and he was like, you know what I mean? Like
okay,
that was an inside.
That was everything we just talked about in the intro just came to fruition with that one comment right here. And they're like wasting no time.
Yeah, fully.
Okay,
but no, it was interesting. I was like, she kept calling him hun and stuff. Like it was a weird vibe, but
wait, so what was the positioning you said?
Like he was like laying down like this.
Okay.
And she was like standing over him, like kind of like over his torso.
Okay, over his torso.
Yeah, like so that.
Okay.
Anyway, all this to say,
and
like
where
I
was
feel
everyone
like
else? Where were the actual nurses standing? And then
one of the ladies was
security?
holding his head because like they don't want his head to like they don't want him to lose consciousness, and if he like kind of go like that right onto the pavement, so like they were just holding his head. And then her and Alyssa were switching because like it was like I guess a tiring pose. I could imagine. And then all this to say, there was enough people around there. She kind of just like inserted herself into the situation. I wanted to like leave, but what happened was like I was like, hey, like take my coat so like you can prop up like his neck. And I didn't realize it was gonna turn into a whole thing. So like 20 minutes later, I'm standing there and I'm like, do I just sacrifice my jacket? Like at this point, like, do I just leave? And then the security guard was like, oh, I'll find your seat. And I was like, man, like, I don't know. Like, first of all, we were.
Can I have my jacket back?
wait. Let me get this straight. A random dude in front of you, I imagine in like a concession line or something.
We were just walking, like we got our drinks and we were like walking back. Like we got like I went and grabbed another beer.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so he passes out. You're just walking and someone passes out in front of you.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a crowd gathers.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, your girlfriend and another great like good Samaritan who have medical expertise decide, and another lady that just wants to stand over him and call him hun decides to like help by like I don't know, like he's passed out, like bring him back to life or just make sure he's okay. Was he conscious at this point?
No, so he fell like head first. Like it was like one of those things where like like he like you see this in like movies because it's like in real life, like you would imagine like usually when someone falls they brace themselves, right? Like this guy just like head first into like the pavement in front.
Fuck. So he hits the pavement.
Yeah, like and keep in mind, Alyssa were right behind him. Like for a sec, I wasn't sure if he like tripped or like I don't know, like someone bumped into him or something. So he fell. At first, like I'll be honest, like first thought in my mind, I was like, wow, this guy's like super drunk. And we're looking at him for like a second or two. Honestly, like everyone froze for like probably like 5-10 seconds, and we were just like looking at him. And then I grabbed Alyssa's drink and I was like, do you want to check like his vitals? And then she goes down and she's like checking him, and then they realize he's seizing, because I think he's epileptic, and so they flip him over, and then I was like, I think we need to elevate his head. So then that's when I took my jacket off.
Okay, so you take the jacket and elevate his head. He's still seizing this whole time.
So he stopped after a minute, and then he was like conscious, but he wasn't like really aware. So we were like just talking to him. Like I was asking him like who his favorite player on the Argos was.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like anyway, we were chatting with him, and then he was like, he basically let us know like he's looking for his mom. He took his medicine this morning, so like he's not like in immediate danger or whatever. His mom came and like I was telling Aria, she was pretty nonchalant about it. And to be fair, like you're probably right. Like this probably just happens all the time to her. So she's like, you're right. Like as an adult, if you're a kid, and he was like in his early 20s probably. So she probably saw like this happen to him
his whole life.
And like, you know what I mean? Like honestly, I personally found it jarring yesterday. like we were having a conversation in the car because like she was straight up like, oh yeah, you know, like he hits his head all the time. Sometimes like, you know, like he lets him down slow, but like, yeah, sometimes it's like thunk. And I was like, wow. Like just like the mom. And the thing I found really jarring was she was like more talking to like everyone else there and like not really like
him
looking at her son. But you know what? Maybe it was like also like she's like, oh, like the medical professionals are here, so like I'm gonna. But then
what medical professionals?
They had EMTs on site.
Oh, EMTs came. Okay.
And then we were asking her, like, why does her son not have a medical bracelet? And she was like, oh, she's asked for one and he hasn't gotten it. And then Alyssa was like, oh, you can go to a pharmacy and get one. And she was like, oh, I didn't know that. And we were like, oh, okay. So I guess maybe now she'll go get a medical bracelet. Because, like, the main thing is, like, whenever these things happen, like, there's always a pre-existing condition. And, like, people just don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah,
like,
true. And
like
if you have a medical bracelet,
diabetic, or like there could have been like 1,000.
And what happens is if you have a medical bracelet, you can scan that and know.
It'll say like what your existing conditions are. Like, so it'll be like, so now like when the EMT arrives, they know to ask like, hey, did you have this medicine this morning that you're like prescribed and things like that. But
okay,
all this to say,
wait, and just to understand why you were here 20 minutes later, and the security guard says, "Go find your seat." So he's awake after a minute.
Yeah,
he's still on your jacket.
Yeah, at a point, like we were just spending about 10 minutes waiting for the stretcher to get there. He was awake, like, you know, like we were talking to him. His mom was there, but Alyssa and I couldn't leave because my jacket was underneath.
He just needed his jacket.
Well, we could have left. I guess.
And did the lady that was standing over him leave at this point?
No, she stayed the whole time. She left with the stretcher actually. Like I like at that point, Alyssa and I was like, yo, dude, like Aria's texting us, like let's go back.
I mean, I was worried about you guys. They left at like halftime, and I think it was halfway through the third quarter when
it was like the end.
You responded to me.
We arrived with like I think 15 seconds left in the third, so it was yeah. But shout out to Cameron. He was doing a great job of controlling the scene.
Shout out to you guys. Oh my God. So was he okay at the end?
I think so, but we were just like, hey, he should get a head CT because he hit his head really hard, and like that was it. Like,
okay,
who knows if he got one? Again, it was just really jarring because like it was like very crowded place for walking, and this guy just
collapsed,
dropped, and like first of all, like my immediate thought is this guy's about to get up and be like, why'd you push me, and like try to swing at me, because I thought like in my mindset was like, we're at a game, everyone's like, people are drunk, and like this guy just fell and hit his head. This is not gonna like end up well for me, selfishly, but yeah.
Well, that wasn't the only thing that happened at the game. The game itself was a mirage of spectacular failures by the Toronto Argonauts.
Why do you use the word mirage, Aria?
I don't know.
It was a barrage. It was one bad play after another.
Mm-hmm.
It was they were not there to play, I don't think. First of all, hope the stamp two.
Even though you want us to chip last year, come on, step it up.
Just before that, I hope the two Stampeders that got injured are okay.
Yes.
There was
devastating.
It was bad. I think there was like at least like an ACL something. Both of them looked like ACL, MCL injuries, but one of them looked worse than the other. It was like on the third play of the game. Really, he got injured, and it was just the first game of the season. You don't like to see it, so that was rough. And then the Argos I don't know, man. Like they didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter.
They didn't even get in the red zone.
Like the quarterback was just making silly plays. He got sacked really hard at one point.
There was a time when he was just intent on throwing an interception, and he did. You know,
He did. Yeah, the first one narrowly slipped by, and then he did the same play
immediately
He ran
after.
the exact same play.
He threw a few interceptions. No, like
two.
They scored off one. And
Yeah,
then the other one,
pick six.
Yeah.
This one that I'm talking about is the one they scored.
It was he threw one, got dropped, and then immediately after proceeds to throw a pick six.
Yeah,
in the same spot on the field to the same player. It was just ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, there was this whole thing. You know, it's the champions.
Yeah.
You know, this the banner raising. We were all so excited.
They
There
didn't
was a
even
lot
raise
of
the banner.
Calgary fans there, by the way.
That's a lot.
I thought there was more than
surprising.
like most other games that I've been to.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Like,
if that's
there was
what
this
we're
one
fair.
dude with a big Stampeders flag.
With that
He was
cowboy hat.
Yeah, he was running up and down every time they scored a touchdown.
I loved how he was getting heckled though. Like
He was
the
getting
dudes,
heckled.
The dudes who were heckling him were he got some pretty good.
Oh, the guys on the
dudes
right?
behind us were like, they were going off.
Yeah, those guys were,
But without a doubt, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about the Argos before we move on, because we have other stuff we want to talk about. But without a doubt, the funniest part of this game was right at the beginning. So they had this whole banner raising ceremony. They sang the national anthem. They had like former players come out. They had the GM of the team. What's the GM of the team's name? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Nico something, something like that, something unique. Anyways, his big bright blue suit on, and he comes up to the mic. You could tell he was winging it too. This wasn't like a scripted thing. At least it didn't seem like it to me.
There was no teleprompter. They were
There was
all
no
winging.
teleprompter. The mic was cutting in and out. You know, he was saying and like waiting 5 seconds to think about the next thing. So he was talking and he started shouting out the Argos. And I guess he just didn't like set it up properly, but the way that it's, and I have a video actually. You know what? Like I'm gonna continue to explain it, but in post, Davin, you're gonna put this video up. There's a video of the actual moment, what he said. He essentially says, it's great that this is Father's Day, because you are all our fathers. You are all our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, but you're mostly our fathers. And he was saying it right after he was thanking the team. So it sounded like he was saying the team and the staff and the Argonauts are our fathers. And I looked at D. I even have the video turning to D right now, and then he was like, "You're not my dad. You're not my dad."
There's a reason that this is Father's Day coming up, because you are our fathers, you are our mothers, you are our friends, you are our brothers, you are our sisters. For our family, Argos!
I was a bit shocked too. I think I looked at Luke, and Luke was like, "They're not my dad." It was this weird thing where I was sitting there listening to a grown man telling me that other people are my father, and that was the way the game started. I knew from that moment it wasn't gonna be like a crazy game.
That was a moment where, like, if it was the NFL, like that would have gone viral over all of social media, like easily.
For sure.
Like imagine that at like the first game of the season.
Imagine Dallas
Like,
Cowboys
like KC versus like fucking like Eagles, like rematch. I don't know what the first game of the season is, but like
Something like
imagine
that,
they come out and they fucking like. But I thought it was funny too because it felt like the stuff before might have been scripted, but that part was for sure not scripted because it was like. He ended his speech because he was like, "Oh, thank you to this guy for bringing in the talent or whatever," and like, "Thank you to this guy." And then he was like, "Should we get him a ring?" Blah blah blah. And then he's like, "Thank you, Argonauts." And then they started to like raise the banner a tiny bit in the middle, and then he was like, "Wait."
He said, "Wait." He was like, "Hold on."
I'm not done. And then he goes into this thing, and I was like, "Whoa."
He started shouting at individuals on the Argos staff.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, this person, thank you for doing this. This person, thank you." And one more thing. You know, it's great that it's Father's Day.
Oh man.
Well, you know, shout out all the dads. It is Father's Day today.
I was gonna say Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Oh, God, thank you for being my mom and my dad.
That's sweet. Yeah, shout out to all the dads in every form. The moms that are dads, and the dads that are dads, and just everybody. If you're a father figure, parental figure, happy your day. So we appreciate you. You know, I was gonna talk about the concert a little bit, but I'm thinking we can just move on from that. Or do you guys want to talk about it a little bit? I didn't quite like the concert all too much, to be honest.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah.
It was, so we went to a Smino concert. It was at Rebel again, a direct next week of the Sir concert, which we talked about on the last episode.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we talk?
okay.
Yeah, we talked about Sir. Yeah, so we went to 2 concerts. We went to another one.
No, we talked about it 2 episodes ago because remember we did a makeup. The last episode we didn't.
Okay. Whatever.
Fine.
Anyways, if you guys know that we went to the Sir concert, now you know we went to the Smino concert. And I don't know, I thought the audio quality was bad. The crowd was kind of dull. And I don't think Smino did a great job at like, you know, managing the crowd's expectations and energy. He had energy,
Yeah.
but
He
I don't
did.
think he really like guided us in the right direction. Like, bro, you can't ask us to sing your songs. We can't sing your songs. We don't know how to sing your songs. Your songs are very unique. Most of the people in that place didn't know how to sing your songs. You can't ask everybody to sing along every other song. Only like a couple songs. I don't know. That peeved me a little bit.
Yeah.
It was just a really unreasonable expectation. And I think that took the crowd out of it too.
Yeah.
I think there's like concerts that are like shows in general that are designed in a way for sing along. Like pop is the biggest example. Like hip hop, you know, that's become very much so
Like
the
hooks,
zeitgeist.
yeah.
But like there are concerts you go to and the expectation is you don't participate. You just kind of enjoy.
You get serenaded. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Like orchestral stuff is more akin to that. Like I would say EDM too. You
Even
go
Sir
there
was
to
like that.
dance.
Yeah.
Right?
Even Sir was like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But even like, and then like, but yeah, you're right. And Sir did like a great job of like kind of guiding people into like when to, you know, participate and not and etc. But I think it's just like Smino went in with like the participation mindset where he should have been like, no, like I'm just gonna perform. Because I think like when people perform, like the way they do the sound is a little bit different. Like, you know, the audio is going to have more vocals than just pure instrumentals. Because he's kind of relying on the crowd to fill in some of the
Yeah, the
vocals, right?
instrumentals were so loud.
It was very loud. And
So
I think
loud.
The reason, like, look, if it was like a full capacity house and everyone was like rapping the lyrics, like it might have sounded totally different, but that wasn't the case, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my ears
like,
were ringing.
he's
yeah,
I'll give him a 10 out of 10 for set design.
that was
set,
a really
the
cool
set
set,
design was really cool. It was like a hood in St. Louis, like a hood barbecue with in St. Louis or whatever with
It was
the.
a good story.
Yeah, it was like he had good storytelling. Yeah, and like he has great songs. It's just, you know, like just do a little bit better in terms of the performance. And yeah, like Arya said, like not everyone is supposed to have sing-alongs. You know, like if you have like super catchy hooks, do you get what I mean? Save those for. And he does have like maybe like 3 or 4 like super catchy hooks. But you know, I just don't think they were managed properly. But all in all, like good shows, good seeing him. Like yeah, he had great energy. Like in fairness to him, yeah, it's just sabotaged a little bit by the sound design, soundscape, and just, you know, maybe his expectations. But
Yeah.
good vibes.
Also, the ending, the encore was dull as well. Like I think with the encore, like if people are chanting your name, you got to come out with energy and give them the song that they want. I think he brought out like the person he was touring
Samara,
with,
yeah.
Samara Sin, who I actually listened to a couple of her songs on Spotify. She is pretty good. I think just like that night, the mics and everything weren't that great. It was like a bad first impression, I'd say.
Yeah.
But nobody knew the song that they were performing.
No, it was
Nobody
supposed to
knew
be
the song.
new or
It didn't really
something.
sound that good, to be honest.
No, it didn't.
And then he played amphetamines like after that. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, at that point, like half people had already left.
Yeah, literally. So
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
did literally.
it was not like a good selection of like, let's say just like decisions, I think. Like at some points it's like you could tell like they were going to play that song as an encore that was planned. Like, you know what I mean? Like the encore was planned.
What's been all this fake? Like, has this always been a thing?
It's become a thing in like the last 5
Like,
years.
this fake encore thing. Because I've
Oh, yeah,
been
we
to
know
a
you're
couple
gonna come out for
concerts.
another
yeah,
song.
exactly.
Like this
It's
is
not an
like my
authentic
first
encore,
time.
yeah.
Like these 2 concerts are my first time seeing them, where they go out and they don't play their biggest song, and it's like, oh, and then they're like, I'm like, wait, what are you doing? Just close the show out normally, and then if it's like an encore,
Let it
then,
be a
like,
true encore.
Yeah, let it be a true
I get
encore.
you.
Like you don't like.
Encores are earned.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and if it's an encore, like, I think the whole, like, and we can check this, the definition of an encore is perform the song again, not come out with a new, like, fucking song.
not a new set.
Like, you get what I mean? Like, I was at a concert earlier this year where we called her out for an encore, and we were like, yo, perform. Like, the crowd was, like, mentioning songs that they wanted to hear that they hadn't heard. And she was actually, like, picking, like, you know, from, she's like, you guys want to hear that? And then she's telling her band to do that. So, like, that's, like, one of the, but that wasn't, like, as far as I know, wasn't a planned encore. Because she didn't end with her biggest song. And, like, after she came back from the encore, like, she performed her biggest song and then left. But, yeah, I'm just, like, Sir did it as well. Like, you know, like, he went out and then he went in and then came back to perform Here Down. And, like, I remember we were like, it can't be done. But I'm just like, is this the new thing? Like,
the last time I heard a genuine encore was, I think, or maybe around 2017. The first time I saw Jazz Cartier.
Yeah.
And
Jazz does,
yeah, he was playing, I don't think it was Hotel Paranoia. I think it was still Marauding in Paradise. But he had played pretty much every song off the album.
Yeah.
He was getting chanted for. He came back and he did 2 of the songs that he already performed again. Like, it's 2 most hype ones.
Yeah.
It was like See You in Hell. No, it wasn't See You in Hell. It was, I can't remember. But anyways, that was the last time I saw like a legitimate encore where, yeah, there was nothing else left to do. People just wanted him to come back because they weren't tired
yet. They weren't tired. Like, you get what I mean? Like, we were tired.
We were gassed. We were like, hurry up, amphetamines. I'm trying to go home.
Like, he left and niggas left.
No, they left like halfway through, dude. Like,
people were leaving halfway through. Yeah. But, you know, good. Like, I love Smino songs. Like, you get what I mean? And, you know, so, like, love your music, you know. Just the set design great, so like you're getting there. It's just like, you know, you gotta make sure the actual sound and crowd involvement is like top notch. But yeah, it's a good time.
All right, let's get into some headlines for the past week. We'll take a few minutes here and just talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened, things that interest us as well. So we've been talking in the house. I'm sure everybody's seen. There is a new war in the world, and I think because I have a personal connection to this war, we've been talking about it a little bit more in the house. We obviously generally talk about these things, but it's a little unsettling. So yeah, there is now a war between Israel and Iran. Yeah, I talked to my family, by the way. They're all okay. But yeah, it's still scary for everything going on there. It's scary for, you know, what's going on in the world, and we don't have to necessarily talk about politics. That's not what this is about. But yeah, man, like checking on your family. I'm personally, I don't like wars, but I think the comment that I made after this was, this is probably one of the worst. And I was talking about Trump. This is probably one of the worst 6 month starts to a presidential term in U.S. history. Just everything has not gone Trump's way this 6 months. So I wonder what he's going to do for the next 6 months.
Yeah, maybe he's just setting it up for a massive comeback.
Yeah.
I do wonder what is the worst kind of like 6 months in U.S. history, which we can look up in one second.
Maybe next episode we'll come to that.
But yeah, no, I was gonna say, my heart goes out to, you know, whoever's in Iran, or like, you know, Israel or Gaza, all those affected. Like, you know, just take heart. Like, loads of people were killed. I think I was seeing like 70 in Iran. These people have families. So yeah, heart goes out to all of that. Like, at the end of the day, no one wants war. We don't want war. And so, you know, praying for or hoping for, you know, a ceasefire and like just like an end to the senseless violence.
Do you guys feel like there is and I think there's been, you know, like a couple like more reputable like actual studies around this, but like, do you think one of the reasons why perhaps like at least the escalation in conflicts in like the last 10 to 20 years, part of it is also due to like general desensitization by the public? Like, it feels like if you like look back in history and like what happened around like the Vietnam War and the Korean War and World War II, like because there was way less access to information, right? Like whenever these things happen, like society's focus was kind of like on these things. But like you know, like there's always the classic like notion of like, you know, nowadays you're scrolling on reels and like you're seeing, you know, a genocide somewhere in the world, and then you're seeing like someone cook something, and then you're seeing like an ad for like a shaker bottle. And it's like, okay, like how am I supposed to take the war, the genocide portion of that as seriously when it's like looped in or lumped in with all this other content?
Yeah, like how you prioritize is what you're asking.
Exactly, kind of thing. Like when all these information pieces are kind of just all like, I don't know. I wonder if there is something there, because it's like perhaps when society was more focused on these things, like there would be bigger movements to push for and or against these things. Because I feel like, I don't know, like this is me just speaking out loud. I feel like a lot of the conflicts recently have been like a very slow and steady deterioration. Like it's kind of just like it happens and then no one's really like, it feels like no one's taking definitive action, or maybe this is a very like ideological way of thinking about it. It just, that's how it feels. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ukraine conflict, this thing that's happening in Gaza, like it started and it just kind of slowly deteriorates. And I feel like maybe one of the reasons is like no one's like kind of paying attention to it enough to be like, let's just stop this. Like your attention is being pulled in like 1,000 different directions almost. Does that make sense, or am I just
No, it does make sense. Like I kind of get what you're asking. I'm trying to, because I don't think I want to spend too much time on this topic.
That's fine. Yeah,
but it is an important question. I do think that people being desensitized makes them less likely to act. It's just funny enough, with more things to focus on in the world recently, I feel like people have been more compelled to act. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I've seen more campaigns online. I don't know if you guys have seen the same thing. I've seen more people care about things. It's actually quite overwhelming because I find people try to do everything, and that's something I never used to see before. Because in theory, I'd like to say that if you're desensitized to something, you're just going to pass you by. And I think to a certain extent, that's kind of what happens with us. Like maybe that's just like who we are. But on the grand scheme of things, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen people like up in arms over this and over similar things. I don't know if you guys have seen the protests going on in LA and things like that, right? Like that's all like accumulation of like people not liking the political state of the US really at the current moment. But
I think a decent amount of people are taking action. If anything, like I'll even lump myself in the bucket of, there's this meme going on Twitter, like it's like, when tariffs come in, everyone's like now an economist. When war comes in, now everyone's a general. Like when it's Gaza and Iran, everyone becomes a Middle East policy expert. And so like yes, I do think there is we are engaged, and there's protests going on. You know what I mean? Like even with the Pakistan India conflict, there was demonstrations. I remember we were driving through downtown Toronto, and Luke was like, "Why are there so many people outside?" Yeah. And it was like, hey, and we were seeing, I think it was Khalistan.
It was the Khalistani,
the Khalistan flags and stuff, and so like. There are demonstrations, but I think what you're saying is correct. It's we're just able to hold water on so many various issues at the same time, where it's like we see that, we observe it, and then it's like, oh, right back to, hey, what's the NBA finals? And then it's right back to, oops, the new airstrike on Israel. And then it's like, oh, like Argos game, someone faded in front of me.
The internet has accelerated man's ability to compartmentalize. That's what I've learned. Yeah. But anyways, the most concerning things about here is nuclear talks with the US and Iran are done. For now, at least, right? Yeah, they pulled out of those.
Oh, that's really scary. Yeah. And especially I'm an energy enthusiast, and it's especially in times when nuclear is trying to make this renaissance.
Yeah. We need a good
image. We can't have countries just talking super loose about nuclear proliferation. It's just a net negative on the world. And so again, praying for peace with minimal lives lost as soon as possible. And the secondary and tertiary effects of kind of how this evolves is I think it's gonna have a big, outsized influence on the way we go forward. So please, peace, people, please.
Yeah. And I mean, this next part's not going to make you feel that much better about it either. But Iran did mention considering taking out the UN watchdogs and removing themselves from the treaties to make sure that they're not over developing nuclear weapons. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, this is. I was telling Luke the other day. This is the fourth time this in the past 12 months World War III has trended on Twitter.
Yeah, the old tweets of my first World War are like resurfacing again, like in the last week. Search trends for like things like
Bomb shelters,
survival kits and shit like that are going up. So in the marketing world where I speak, all signs are reflecting the concerns.
On a positive note to end this, I will say I remember because I went off of Twitter for like a year and a half, and then I came in. I also got like blocked, or my account got locked or whatever, and it was because I was tweeting crazy wild during Trump won about like he was gonna unleash World War III, and it did involve Iran back then. And I was tagging him as well, which is, I think, why my account got suspended. But
wow, big surprise.
The positive here is that was what 2017, no World War, and so now in 2025, I'm hoping it's a repeat where it's just idiots like me, like now in 2025, like being like, oh. Trump's
new concern, yeah.
like Trump's fucking it, and he was last time too. He is right now, and we're sorry, no cursing, but yeah, it's like
I like how you caught maybe the 7th curse word. You guys like both cuss like this and that. We're 30 minutes in, and
yeah, we're great.
You're good. We'll survive. We'll move on. Let's do the rest of the headlines. We'll probably come back to this at a future date when we have more updates, but this just happened. So. Sorry, did you have something to say?
No, I was gonna say I hope we don't come back to this.
Peace.
I would like to come back and say, hey, like nothing happened.
Yeah, peace and love, kids.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Air India plane crashed in Ahmedabad.
Jesus,
I think this was the biggest one of the year. Don't have to talk about this too much, but just to give you guys some details, this is June 12th. It was a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, so another Boeing. It was going to London. It crashed into a residential medical college area just 30 seconds after takeoff. So there's 242 people on board, 230 passengers, 12 crew. 241 of them died. One rescue survivor is hospitalized, and the crash also killed several people on the ground, including medical students.
It killed like more than 100 people on the ground as well. I was reading because they were like a lot of the people were saying like get the actual number, which is closer to 400. Because like, but dude, I saw the video. I don't know if you guys saw the video.
I did not see the video.
It's like
I saw the video.
The moment like the plane kind of like goes over the horizon, you can't see it anymore. There's like this huge fireball, and like. You look at that and you're like,
this a huge what?
A huge fireball. Like it was like an explosion. Yeah. So it was like
in the air.
No, when it hit the ground.
Hit the ground.
Like it kind of like goes over a horizon. It's kind of in like a neighborhood, and then you see it go over this horizon, over this house, and then it explodes. But like to be honest, like I'm kind of shocked that like even one person could have survived that, because it's like the way it looked, it was just like the whole thing went up in flames.
And people are already really nervous about air travel, like this year specifically. Like this is not like a good way to dispel
a lot of the comments were like, tell me why I saw this post and my plane just got changed to a Dreamliner. I'm boarding in 20 minutes. I was like, damn.
Boeing's had a hard go of it this past year. They've had a pretty hard go of it. So curious to see how that comes out. In more positive news,
let's do that, please.
Yeah, we're gonna do some positive stuff here to end it off, because we do actually have other stuff we want to talk about too. If you guys have listened this far, that means it's actually been pretty interesting. But Summer McIntosh breaks multiple world records. So Summer McIntosh is an 18-year-old Canadian swimming phenom.
From where? What city? What province?
She's from BC, Victoria, BC. So that's the island. That's Vancouver Island in British Columbia. So she broke 3 world records at the trials this past week.
Incredible.
So incredible, by the way. Like, congratulations. 400-meter freestyle. She did that in 3 minutes 54 seconds. 200-meter individual medley in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then the 400-meter. I don't know what IM is. Is that individual medley? Oh no, that's individual medley.
No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the one man that can't swim.
Yeah. Well, anyways, in the IM, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. This is pretty huge. I read only 5 other swimmers have done this, like break 3 world records in one competition weekend.
Incredible.
Michael Phelps is on that list. So
She's on track to be like one of the GOATs, right? Like she was selected as the youngest Canadian ever to be on the Olympics. She was actually selected for the Tokyo 2021 Olympics.
Damn, how old was she back then?
She was like
18 now.
No, she was like 14.
She's 18
Yeah,
now,
she's
so
18
it's
now,
those
so, yeah, it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, she was like
4 years.
14.
Damn.
She got 4th place in
Jeez.
the 400 butterfly, and then in the 2024 Paris Olympics, she had 3 gold medal finishes, 1 silver medal finish. So she like brought home a lot of hardware
At the Paris.
at the Paris Olympics for Canada. She's absolutely going to be at the LA Games. I think the next one is LA. I think, right? 2028.
yeah. LA 2020.
Yeah, so she's definitely going to be. But all this to say, like she's fully like she's like a Simone Biles for us. You know what I mean? Like she's like she's like,
someone to watch.
Yeah, like absolutely.
Hey,
Like,
Canadian excellence. Love to
early-
see that.
early in the career too.
Yeah, like
pretty crazy.
18. What am I doing with my life? Come
Yeah,
on.
no, it makes you think like, yo, what the hell?
Yeah, like man.
Hey man, at least you're not like I'm almost 10 years older than this chick. Like that's something I gotta consider.
Yeah. Okay. Right. All right. Big whoop. I'm almost 9 years older. Yeah. It's such a big difference.
Fair.
But I was just gonna add, like, man, like how. And maybe I have this wrong, and I'd be fantasizing too much. But like, how incredible must it feel to find what you're great at so early, man?
And to know like you're better than everybody else.
Man, like just like I feel like I spent a decent amount of my life like trying to find out what it is I'm actually good at. And then, it's like, okay, you find that, and then it's like, okay, now I want to double down on this. And it's like she's done that.
She's
like,
quadrupling down right now.
It's just quadruple, and she's like world record, competing on a global scale at the age of 18, like a Smino. Like, man, just congrats to you, Summer McIntosh. Like, you're incredible.
Yeah.
Like, you're inspirational to me, and like, keep shining that that bright light.
The pod is a fan of you.
Yeah,
The pod is a
for
fan
sure.
of you. We're gonna be watching your career for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's one of those things too, right? It's like it's absolutely like has to be like hard work meets talent kind of thing. Like, don't get me wrong, like Michael Phelps, like all these guys who are like Olympic greats, like they have like the ideal body proportions for their sports, right? Like people talk about how Phelps's arm span is like on average like 1.5 to 2 times in terms of ratio to the average person. So like when he puts his arms like this, I believe it's just as long or longer than his height.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
but,
like that's a crazy
the
stat.
question is like, when do you discover, like my body is optimal for swimming, and
Yeah.
then start swimming? Because it's like, like after the fact, it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, like his
This
body
guy
was
is,
off.
yeah,
But
fair.
it's like, how do you as a human, like, you get what I mean? Like,
I think your parents are rich and they put you in. They put you in a bunch of shit.
It's not your parents are rich. It's if your parents are attentive.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
It's up to whoever's raising you and whoever's coaching you, right? Like if your parents are paying attention to this stuff, they can find these like gems in you and they'd be like, oh, like this is potential. Let's explore. It's the parents' responsibility to kind of push people with their kids with potential in the right direction.
You know-
and then at that point, then it's up to the kid to see if they even really like it.
Yeah,
They say like to create like a great in a sport, it takes 3 generations. First generation becomes the teachers. Second generation becomes the training partners, and then the third generation becomes like the guys who have the potential of being the greats. And like they like for example, and I would imagine Summer McIntosh's dad and mom were probably athletes, maybe swimmers. I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah.
But
Well, anyways,
Yeah, this is
we'll move on. There's a few more, and then the last headline we're gonna expand on a little bit longer, but I'll let you handle that last one. So, for those of you in Toronto, the 64th Toronto Outdoor Art Fair is being held July 11th to 13th at Nathan Phillips Square. There's going to be over 400 artists that attend. There's going to be gallery tours, site-specific installations, street performances, art zone, live talks. It's rain or shine. It's an all-free event. You can just show up, and you can even buy artwork. I have 1 or 2 pieces of artwork upstairs that I got from this festival specifically. It's really cool. Go out, show some love, show some support, and yeah, post online.
Yeah.
The last thing that I wanted to talk about that I thought was pretty cool was a microscopic energy efficient quantum clock. Dolapo's more of our science guy, you know what I mean? So sometimes when I read things like this, I'm like, oh, Dolapo would really enjoy this. You know what I mean? He just didn't seem that excited when I brought it up today earlier. But
The quantum clock.
it is in all fairness, it's completely theoretical, right? So it's a theoretical. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a theoretical framework, but it's for a tiny, ultra precise clock that's both microscopic and energy efficient. So it minimizes thermodynamic loss while maximizing time accuracy, especially at quantum scales. So basically, what this means is like, imagine fitting a super accurate clock inside of a speck of dust that barely needs a battery, and that's essentially what they've built the framework out of. So this kind of tech could be used for like advanced sensors, quantum computers, medical gadgets, things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool and worth giving a shout out to.
Yeah, I guess like you mentioned it to me, and I'm like, what? Like this sounds like someone's science project, and it literally is a science project. But yeah, like you see advanced sensors. I was thinking like space exploration is probably where this will come in like really clutch. But you know, like cool. Like what university? What research team?
It's a team from Vienna. I'm gonna butcher this. The Technische Universität Wien. TU Wien. At the
and these are physicists.
These are researchers, physicists essentially. And then they partnered with the Austrian Academy of Sciences, Chalmers University of Technology, and the University of Malta.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a international
collaboration. Yeah. Shout out Europe, still getting out some good research.
Yep.
Like and Vienna too, because you know Vienna back in the day used to be like a fucking citadel of learning. You know, we got
you're right.
We got our boys like Freud and I think a couple other psychologists out there. So good to see they're still doing good research out there.
Bro. That guy's my hero.
All right. Do you want to take that last headline for us?
That tells us everything we need to know. Okay. Okay, Luke. But yeah, last headline. I know we've covered what were they? Gus Fring. We covered Canada's version of Gus Fring a couple of weeks ago, and that was more of a fun topic because it was like on the other side of the country where we don't live, and we're like, damn, they must have they got it all fucked up there. We're talking about BC laws and how they're so lax and liberal in terms of drugs, and then you know the universe is like, idiots, I got something for you. And yeah, so essentially June 10th is this article off of CBC, the largest seizure of fentanyl in OPP history. Commissioner says after Project Golden drug bust. And just some numbers off the top, 38 kilograms of suspected fentanyl was seized, 19.5 kilograms of suspected methamphetamine, 5.5 kilograms of suspected cocaine, and other drugs with an estimated street value of $5.4 million were seized from good old Hamilton. Okay. And we're a podcast based in Toronto, and so Hamilton is about 45 minutes away from us, if not less, depending on traffic on the QE.
I'm literally going to Hamilton with like a couple of my Scarborough friends for the weekend next weekend.
What are you looking for in Hamilton?
If you were planning on getting anything while you were there, you're out of luck.
I'm gonna say like I didn't know. First of all, I've never been to Hamilton.
Really?
Like ever.
Not missing out on much.
No, I've just. I might have driven past.
If anyone's listening, if anyone's listening from Hamilton, we really appreciate you listening.
Sure.
Well, I was like, I don't know.
I appreciate you. I have friends in Hamilton, so shout out to you guys. But like, yeah,
I was told. You know what's funny that you say that because when I was applying for universities, my dad was like, "You should apply to McMaster because
McMaster is great.
There's lots of churches around McMaster." It sounds like the churches might be in the fentanyl trade.
Also, if you do business school at McMaster, it's actually in Oakville.
Is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah. What is it?
Oh,
it's DeGroote.
DeGroote, yeah.
DeGroote is technically like Oakville, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, McMaster is great for their health science, for their science, like
life science.
Life science.
Yeah, life sciences is huge. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know they have a great physics program as well. Like, yeah, no, they're great science research school.
It's an amazing school.
Yeah, it's a great school.
It's an amazing school.
Yeah. Just what's going on in Hamilton? What the fuck are you looking for over there?
Well, we were just like, we want to go to like a different city. Honestly, I was like, why don't we just like get an Airbnb in downtown Toronto? But it was like, they were like, this is gonna be too expensive. So I was like,
Hamilton.
I was like Montreal, and then they were like, it's too far. And I was like, why don't we just get like, I don't know, man. Like you have to remember, like sometimes like I think you forget that like as you say, I'm an akata, you know, like, so I'm willing to buy a plane ticket to Montreal.
What does that have to do
No,
with
I say
anything?
that to like my Asian friends, and they're like, "Are you crazy flying for a weekend trip?" And I was like, "All right."
How much is a flight to Montreal?
It's like
I think round
$300-400
trip
bucks.
is like $300-400.
$300 or $400. Okay, well, it's a train to Montreal is also $300.
And they want to drive. Like, so they were like, and I was like, okay, so the options were like, we go to a cottage or we go to like a city and they go to a couple of breweries and stuff. So we were like, I was like, I've never been to Hamilton. I actually wanted to go and watch a Ticats game, but like there wasn't one that weekend, so we're just going.
Okay, no, it's okay. I just wanted to understand what was going on in Hamilton. It seems like nothing.
Actually,
Nothing's happening in Hamilton.
the reality is I'm actually a major time drug dealer, and I'm gonna go fix this fentanyl situation.
Hey man, like you got a couple $1 million I could hold for you? Just asking, but just wanted to like.
That was a joke for anyone who's confused.
Big joke.
Just think, we got feedback that we probably shouldn't talk about drugs as much.
Yeah, but like this is more about just kind of.
This is insane.
Yeah, this is insane.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
I've gone to Hamilton. Like I said, I have a couple of friends, and I've gone downtown Hamilton. And the last time I was downtown Hamilton, I saw about 2 or 3 people ingesting hard drugs right in front of me.
Oh yeah.
And so like, you know, it was devastating, and like, you know, I went to school there for a bit, and it wasn't like incredible, but it wasn't this bad. And, you know, just reading that, you know, there's like a whole ass drug lab that was there. Apparently, you know, the Project Golden involved executing search warrants on 16 residences and businesses and 8 vehicles. I believe they mentioned about 20 people have been arrested. About 15 people have been charged, and like, you know, with like drug charges, whatever. And so at least with this one as opposed to the other one, it wasn't just one person. You know, there's like at least 15 people have been charged with this, and it's just kind of insane that there's this much drug activity going on like in these major cities. And you know, like this was like a whole apparently 11-month operation. Like the OPP is out here doing like DEA work. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're talking like narcos, like real life narcos.
Was this a OPP only thing, or did they coordinate with RCMP?
I think this is OPP as far as I'm seeing it.
It says here it's coordinated.
Okay.
It looks like what happened was like they realized they were both investigating the same thing like this
yeah.
year.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, OPP and Hamilton Police. Yeah.
So not RCMP was not involved.
No, RCMP was not involved.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like provincial police and like the local municipal police. And
OPP has enough resources to do it, I guess.
yeah, I hope so. You know, it's
Well, clearly.
great tip-driven investigation, which is incredible. Shout out to the great you know, residents of Hamilton.
or
But-
someone snitched.
Well, you know, whichever way it was, but like, you know, it's just
We're adults who
Yeah.
pay taxes now, so we're not calling anybody a snitch.
Yeah, like like come on, like at this point, this is for the safety, you know.
Yeah.
It's like
I
30
mean, dude, the
million.
last several times I've been so I haven't actually like hung out in Hamilton maybe since high school, right? But I've driven through it a bunch of times, especially recently, without fail, even up onto the grassy parts in between the highways and the overpasses and the highways, tent city.
Damn,
Like you see tents everywhere. Like it does not look like an optimistic place at the end of the day.
No.
And you hear about it too, and it's just it is heartbreaking. Like you don't like seeing something so close to home be this way. But to your point, like you guys, are you surprised that, you know, a big city has drug problems?
I mean, no, drug problems aside, what's very I guess jarring for me is all these like stash houses and having these like do you get what I mean? Like, well, I guess Hamilton, relatively big city, is like bring the drugs into the city because that's where your customers are. But like just having these huge havens and drug warehouses like just around the city, Like, you know, it makes me feel a little uneasy, and like not like it's affecting me, but yeah, like Hamilton is a problem. It's absolutely a problem, and like I think there's just a little bit more that the municipal and provincial like government should be doing about that.
From what I hear too, like I think it's also an issue with like zoning. Because like what happened when they were developing the city of Hamilton was they were trying to build it very fast, like at least in the past like 20 years. So they were like putting up a ton of high rises. They were the commercial spaces that they kind of like they zoned for pre pandemic. Like I think like the main stat they were going through is I forgot what this measure is, but it's a measure of the relative rent of commercial properties in comparison to like average income in the thing. Like Hamilton was way blown out of proportion. So they're basically like after the pandemic, from what I understood, if you weren't like a big multi-conglomerate organization that was like you know what I mean, like a Rogers could afford to open a store
or
downtown.
Canadian Tire,
Yeah, but like you know, you're not gonna be like mom and pop businesses got wiped out. So then you kind of wonder like if those businesses left and then the people who still stayed, like how are they making their income again? And then it's like I don't know. There's probably something there with how the development.
There
and
are a lot of
probably,
vacancies.
Unfortunately, like part of that is due to the GTA, right? Like Hamilton's relatively close to the GTA, so they were probably like, we're gonna push a lot of the zoning like down here, maybe try to make it like another Mississauga, but like it obviously did not.
I think
out that way.
a big problem with all of this too is perception, right? I mean, I think if you want, maybe I could be completely thinking about this wrong. I'm just.
You're the local here.
I'm just the guy.
Let's hear it.
I'm just the guy, right? But
You're a jag.
if you, a what?
Don't say that.
Just a guy.
Oh yeah, I'm just. The guy.
Sorry. When you said jag, I took
Oh,
that.
I
As
took it the wrong way.
I took it
yeah.
as what Drake was posting on a story this morning.
I didn't see Drake's
Why are
story
you
this
looking
morning.
at Drake's story on a Sunday? What the fuck is wrong?
Drake is a
First thing in the morning.
Jeez.
bro. Like I mean, you
Get a
open
grip,
Instagram.
man.
You open Instagram and like you see a post. You know,
Get a
like,
grip.
okay. I'll get a grip.
He doesn't he shows up sometimes. He doesn't show up. I guess I guess I just don't check enough. But anyways,
I'm sorry.
no, you're all good. You're all good. You're all good. Yeah, I'm just a guy who knows what I know. But I think if you want, less drug problems, you need people to like move into the city who don't want drugs. You need families. You need people who are making money, who are going to spend money and put it in the right places. And I think people are just less willing to do that when the entire perception of Hamilton is, oh, it's like a drug corridor. Oh, it's like, like shit like this happens to it. It's the way we talk about it too. When I was driving to,
there's a lot of people that live in Hamilton.
there's a lot of people that live in Hamilton. I was driving to Westover. It was like on the way to Windsor. Like it was a couple weeks ago. It was like a 2.5 hour drive, but I had to go through Hamilton to do it. And you go through the highway, and then you end up going northbound. I believe it's still the 403 or something like that. And then I looked in my mirror in the back, and it was early morning, so the sun was coming up. And I was like, you know what? Hamilton kind of has a semi-decent skyline. Like, it looked pretty. I looked all around. There's lush greenery, rolling hills. Like, this is really pretty. It is such a shame that, people have such a bad perception of what Hamilton is. I think if it was positioned as this premier destination, this nice place, if amenities were there and people were brought in under the right incentives, I think over time the drug issue should dissipate. But again, I'm just a guy.
Yeah, no, to add to that, like I went to school there, and like Luke mentioned zoning, and I don't know too much about it, but I think your intuition might be a little right there, because Arya is right. There's hills there. There's lush green, there's golf courses, but like on the mountain, as it's discussed, where Ancaster is, like beautiful homes, like $1 million homes. Like, you get what I mean? With like execs from downtown Toronto, like moving their families out there so they can have like pools in their backyards and live. And so like there's like golf courses, you know what I mean? And Lime Ridge Mall and there's like a bunch of stuff going on the mountain, like, you know what I mean? And that's where things are. But like when you start coming to like the downtown area,
West End,
like the West, like it's just completely different story. That's the drug corridor,
and that's what
Hamilton.
people take away.
That's what
people take away.
That's what people take away. That's the drug corridor Hamilton. That's the, you know what I mean? That's the Hamilton that we all talk about. And so, like, whether it was the way they zoned the city, like Luke was like, you know, intuiting, like, I don't know if that's the issue, but Arya is right where there's just a lot of potential. And well, glad they got Project Golden was a success.
Things like this. We need more things like this.
Yeah, they need to clean it up.
You need to signal to the world that, hey, like, you know, we're on top of it here, right? Like you can bring your kids here. You know what I mean? Like, actually, forget the kids for a second.
Young
right?
adults, man. If you want to start your life,
I want businesses to be like, I can put an office in downtown Hamilton.
Yeah.
I like the execs that are traveling from Toronto. I want them to be able to 3 days a week be able to come into the office in Hamilton. So they spend money at the shops around Hamilton.
Yeah.
The reality is, it's like having bigger developed cities around the GTA is a pure advantage.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of people who live between the GTA and St. Catherine. Like, you know, there's Guelph, there's Kitchener,
Golden
there's all
Horseshoe.
these places. And if one of those, you know, cities were to become a bigger commercial hub, you just stretch more GDP, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, offices can afford to move out there and get cheaper rents, but still have, you know, relatively good talent, services, etc. Like, the end of the day, it's just like, I think, like, to your point and Arya's point, it's also about hope, right? Like, when a city has like a certain tonality to it, it feels that way. Like, for example, you go to, like, we always talk about like the Toronto feeling, like, treat it negative or positive, like it makes you motivated.
It does.
It forces you to do things. You will not, like, in Toronto is a city like New York where, like, if you go here with like a kind of like a loser mentality and like you're like, oh, you know, like the world is against me, blah blah blah, people would be like, what the fuck are you saying? Like get to work. Like, what are you talking about? Like your life is not so like poor or whatever. But then, like, yeah, you know, if you live in like a Peterborough, I think is an example of that. Like no one, I don't think people, not to diss, like, one of my coworkers literally comes from Peterborough. He's like, he knew, like, in high school he had to get out of the city because the path there is like a lot of people just are comfortable collecting government checks, and it's like, imagine if like that's the general mentality of people you live around, right? Like, it's gonna be so hard to change the place. So
for sure,
we'll see what happens, but we're not losing in hope, you know.
we're not.
If anything, like that, me driving through Hamilton, us talking about this right now, I'm invested in speaking positively about Hamilton, and you know, if the opportunity ever were to come to make an improvement to Hamilton or support improvement to Hamilton, I will 100% support it, because I think it's key for all of the nearby suburbs
to
follow a similar blueprint and to kind of get on the same page about this, right? Like, Mississauga did it really well. Like,
Brampton is doing
better now than they were
have a
before.
commercial zone.
Yeah. They're doing significantly better now than they used to. Oakville is
mainly residential.
Just a rich person playground is really what it is at this point, right? Well, like, Milton is severely underdeveloped. You know what I mean? And then you have like Burlington and Hamilton, which you can kind of like closely put together. Burlington just has such a much nicer public perception.
Absolutely.
But it's smaller and not as capable.
Tiny,
you know what I mean? And further from Toronto. Is it? No,
it's before Hamilton.
It's before.
Yeah.
Either way, but it's smaller, not as capable, but it has a better perception. So people are actually more inclined to go live in Burlington than they are in Hamilton, even though, hey, Hamilton's closer to Niagara Falls and the U.S. border. And
you know, Hamilton was the steel city.
It was.
Yeah, it has that huge factory. That's Hamilton.
Huge factories. Yeah. So like let's get that going again. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, like, I think the last thing I will say is just like, nowadays there's like general feelings of like overwhelming information, and like, you know, sometimes it feels like there's a lot of things happening and blah blah blah. I think like related to this Hamilton topic, the only thing that we can do is just focus on our community, right? Like, it starts with the people around you, and it starts with, you know, like, trying to make minimal impact where you can, and hopefully, if everyone does that over time, it stacks up and becomes a really big thing.
Compounds.
So that's what it is, right? You know, I will say I am going to Hamilton next week because I am trying to
spend some money.
Yeah, spend some money.
I'm trying to boost up the community. You know, I'm going to Collective Arts. That's one of the main reasons.
Okay,
I want to go to Hamilton.
that's big. Yeah,
go do that. Yeah, go take pictures.
I love how I asked what's going on in Hamilton, and you tell me nothing, and then at the end you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to Collective Arts.
Well, there's some breweries in Hamilton I want to check out.
Perfect. Yeah, go check out
breweries.
Tip the staff.
Yeah,
leave good reviews. Leave
Yes.
good reviews if you can. That's always a good
Get
one.
me a non-fruity IPA.
Give me a fruity IPA.
I'm gonna get you the most ridiculous IPA possible. The flavor tasting profiles are gonna be like an orange and like tree bark.
See, this is me and Luke's relationship. Like just for the audience, like
Orange
in
and
real
tree
life,
bark.
like in real life too. You know, but I love you.
If I ever like brew beer in the future, I'll make an IPA called like the Lapo Lineal.
You know what?
Oh no, it'll be called Cold Ass African Kid.
All right. I was gonna be honored. Now you're a dick and a bitch.
All right.
So-
Okay. Enough. You couldn't even get through the last 10 seconds without cussing.
Look at him. Look at him. He knows what he was doing.
Anyways.
Cold Ass African Kid coming to a shelf in the next 20 years.
Yes. Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. If you're hearing this and you're local, go support local. Go do something. Go leave a good review for a business in Hamilton. Do something like that. But until next time, one love.
Aces.
Mwah.